Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Spotlight, Business Solutions Spotlight. Today I have with me the wonderful Lindsay Nauen. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me today. And we're going to talk a little bit about what Lindsay's up to. She is the author of No Quick Fixes, which is available on her website and Amazon. But we're not necessarily going to talk about the book completely today. We're going to talk about your latest venture of what you've been up to and how you're helping people now.
Yes.
So Lindsay, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you've been up to after the book?
Thanks. Well, last year I took a course through the Mayo Clinic to become a health and wellness coach. And this involves becoming certified both at the national level and by Mayo. And I'm in the process of the certification process. What this means is that I have learned how to be a health and wellness coach to really help people. In the past, health and wellness coaches were more salespeople for products or services, and they were certified by their company, which basically isn't very meaningful.
Sure.
But now there is this national certification that's been around for about 5 years. And first, the course has to be certified, and then you take a test to be nationally certified. And the biggest part of that is coaching hours. So I need to add to my coaching hours to become certified.
Okay.
And basically what I do is help people develop a wellness vision, and then from the vision, health and wellness goals. And so I'm not somebody that's telling you what to do. I'm helping you find out what's important to you based on your needs and your values. So in the past, people, would say, you need to lose weight, and this is what you should eat to lose weight, or these are the, you should work out 5 times a week, 30 minutes of aerobics, whatever. I don't do that. I don't tell you what to do. I help you discover what's important to you and how you can achieve wellness, because it's different for everybody. And so the first session or two is really talking about, what does wellness mean to you? What's important to you? What motivates you? What do you enjoy doing? And then we get to the stage of setting actual goals that are measurable, obtainable, and flexible.
Okay.
And then I also help you in terms of accountability and documentation, because if you don't document, you don't know what you've accomplished.
That's true. That's very true.
I've been working out more. Well, how much is more? Is it 5 minutes more? Is it 10 minutes more? Is it 1 minute every 3 weeks?
Right.
So that's the whole idea with having goals that are measurable, obtainable, and flexible. And by obtainable, I mean, if you're not in the habit of walking, to say that you're going to walk 10 miles every 2 days is very unrealistic.
Not attainable.
It's not obtainable. And a lot of people start out with these unrealistic goals, or goals that they think they should have or somebody else has set for them, instead of saying, I don't really like walking, but I really love riding my bike. Sure. And that is just as aerobic as walking. And so for some people, it might be riding my bike half an hour 3 times a week. For somebody else, it might be, I want to do a 5K, and I want to do it with my daughter, or I want to do it with my family. There's this 5K that supports a cause that's important to me. And so and I always watch, and I want to be out there walking with my family. So that's why I say, what is wellness to you it's what's
Right.
important to you, not what's important to somebody else, or what somebody else says you should do.
Well, that's probably very important in achieving an actual end result, or achieving their goals. If it's something that somebody's making them do, or they are not really interested in, what's the incentive to keep going if you don't care?
Exactly. Or if it's not fun. I mean, it's got to be fun.
Right.
Whatever you do in terms of movement has to be fun. It has to be something you enjoy. And if you say, and people may say, well, there's nothing I enjoy. And then I would help them try things out. Well, why don't you try a class at the Y or your community center? And then they try that and then, oh, I really enjoyed it. Or, nah, that wasn't for me. Okay,
Sure.
let's try something else. So there's a lot of experimentation that goes on, but it's always based on, I'm not telling them what to do. I'm helping them come up with ideas and then they try it out.
That's really empowering too, to have
Yes,
somebody in your
exactly.
corner
Yeah,
that backs
because you're
you up
not
on
going
your
to be
decision.
successful if you haven't empowered yourself.
Right. Yeah. So for everybody out there wondering why they might need a fitness coach, what would you say to that? Like, I could just go and work out myself, right? Like, how would you not convince me, but like, what's the motivation for me to use somebody like you? Like, I could potentially hurt myself, or maybe I won't stay on target, right?
Yeah, I think the important thing is that your goals have to be ones that are important to you based on what motivates you. So for some people, it might be, I want to work out more because I want to lose weight, or I want to look better for an upcoming wedding, or I want to be able to play with my grandchildren.
Sure.
And until you know why you're doing it, it becomes harder to achieve if you don't know the why.
Sure.
And a lot of times people don't know why. And so I help, by asking open-ended questions and then by reflecting on what they say, I help them say, oh, what's really important to me is to be a role model for my family. I don't want my children to not be healthy. And I don't feel like I'm as healthy as I can be. And I want to be a role model. That's very empowering. And that's a
Yeah.
lot more important than saying, well, I should, some government agency said you should work out 3 times a week.
If somebody told me I need to drink 8 ounces of water, or 8 glasses of water a day, so I'm doing it.
Yeah.
There's
And
a
if you
reason
don't know
behind it.
why, and you don't, and if you want to know what your workout should be, I'm not the person for you. If you just need a workout, go to a fitness trainer, because I'm
Right.
not a fitness trainer. I'm a coach. So I'm encouraging you, I'm helping you, but I'm not telling you what to do.
Sure.
So if you want somebody to tell you what to do, then you don't come to me,
Go to a personal
because
trainer.
that's not going, first of all, it's not going to be successful. And if you haven't done the work with me first. So after
Sure.
I've helped you figure out what's important, then you go to somebody who says, well, to achieve that goal of losing weight, you need to modify your diet in this way and you need to work out a certain amount of time. But I won't tell you what you should eat or how much you should work out. I will just help you in terms of how do I integrate working out into my life.
Sure.
Like one thing I always tell people that I recommend is that you schedule your workouts just like you schedule other parts of your life.
Sure.
So you don't think about brushing your teeth every day,
You
but
just
you do it.
Right.
And it's because for most adults, it's become second nature to brush your teeth. It's just something you do. Well, I want people to feel the same way about exercise and moving. Sometimes for people, you got to change, say, don't call it exercise, just call it moving more. And then people can relate to that. So once you know why you're doing it, then there are plenty of professionals or things online that can help you figure out specifically
how to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't help people, or you help people get goals, which I would imagine is really important, because if you don't have accountability either, like, it's very, very easy to get off those goals. Like, I work with a business coach, and she's very, very good at helping me stay on target with business goals. And I would assume that fitness and health is the same kind of thing. Like, where do you start? If you're not, if it's not integrated into your daily routine, it's good to have somebody that you can count on to help you.
Yeah. And that's where coaching really is very helpful, because it helps you figure out the why, and then accomplishing things are a lot easier when you can say, oh, I've lost weight and I'm going to look great in that dress at, my daughter's wedding or my granddaughter's wedding. Or I can pick up the toddler now and run around with the toddler. And before I was just sitting holding the baby. Now that
Right.
my grandchild is a toddler and running around, I've got the energy to keep up with it. That makes, and so when you know why you're doing it, then you see the results, and that is motivating.
Right.
Because then it's like, oh, this is worth it because now I can do something I couldn't do before, or I look better, or I feel better, or I'm happier, or whatever. It could be, a wellness goal is just, I want to feel better. I
Right.
just want to feel happier. And I think it's particularly helpful during these COVID times because everything is different. And so sometimes just working with somebody on setting goals in this new environment are really helpful because it's like, well, I used to do this, but I can't. So, people talk about adding COVID pounds.
Right.
Well, that's partially because people didn't know how to be active in new ways.
Yeah.
And so by, looking at what your house is and your routines and what you can do, then you're gonna be, you're gonna have those techniques available to you to make progress and to feel better about yourself.
Sometimes we need a accountability partner to help us get creative.
Exactly. And like I said, I do a lot of experimentation where we try something out. And if it doesn't work, then we try something else. And if it does work, I try to have goals be, what's the word I'm looking for? Progressive.
Oh, sure. Yep.
You're
So always
you
taking
want
it
to
to the next
start
level.
where you want to start with goals that are obtainable and not too much of a stretch. So if you're used to walking for 20 minutes 3 times a week, I might say, okay, just let's do that for a week and document it. And then maybe next week we'll make it 30 minutes. But I wouldn't start at an hour if you're only at 30 minutes because it might be obtainable, but it's not going to feel good. And it's going to feel like overwhelming. And so whatever and you set the goals. I mean, I just make suggestions, talk about, but maybe you're already working out, maybe you're doing enough walking or aerobics, but maybe you need to add strength training. And so I have one client where she was adding strength training and was really struggling with adding more than the session with the trainer. And so we talked about, well, can you make it a little shorter? And she talked to the trainer, oh yeah, there's certain things I need to do. So I don't have to do as long, my second session by myself doesn't have to be as long as the one with the trainer. And then again, documentation is so important. So you can look back and say, oh, I used to do, 45 minutes a week and now I'm doing 60 minutes a week, or I used to do an hour and now I'm doing an hour and a half or whatever. And that progression is also motivating.
Yeah, it's important to celebrate your achievements. I don't think people do
Exactly.
that. They talk about where they aren't and how they haven't accomplished this yet. And it's like, celebrate your achievements.
Yes. And that's what I talk a lot in my book is about celebration.
I was actually going to ask you about that too. So your coaching actually stems from your own personal journey.
Yeah, exactly.
That you went through as well. So it I would imagine gives you a better insight into helping others.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing I learned in my fitness journey is the importance of a support team.
Yep.
And so I look at being a health and wellness coach as being part of your support team.
Yeah.
Your trainer, your dietitian, nutritionist, your physician, sometimes psychologist are all part of your support team, your formal support team, formal in the sense that you're paying people for it.
Sure.
And everybody has an informal support team that's just as important. Those are your friends and colleagues that are noticing, hey, you look really good, Amy. Have you lost weight? Or your children that say, hey, you can really keep up with Junior now. Before you were just kind of standing on the sidelines. I remember one thing that made me really happy with Grandparents' Day. We did, when my granddaughter was in 2nd grade, they had a gym class, and half of the grandparents were standing and watching or sitting. And I was one of the ones who were out playing the game
Oh,
with
that's
the
great.
kids. And it made me feel so good. And that my grandchildren are not going to know that I wasn't an active, healthy person. They don't
Yeah, you
know
were
that.
part of their lives. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been a healthy grandma. And so that's very motivating for me. And I want other people to get that same sense of satisfaction and accomplishment from reaching goals. Because it's a
Wonderful.
wonderful feeling when you're feeling better,
Yeah, it
looking
really is.
better, and people are noticing, and it's all motivating. So having that family support is really important.
It is.
Now, I
It is.
haven't done it yet, but I would love the opportunity to coach a couple. I think it would be really fun to help
Oh,
a
sure.
couple develop a wellness goal for the family. And then, do it as a young married couple. And then as they add children, it's already a part of what they do.
Right.
And as they're, when you're pregnant, you change but if you already have the wellness vision developed, then you can modify it as circumstances change. There's still, a lot of people in my generation didn't realize how active you could stay when you were pregnant. You were sort of like, well, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Right. Just sit back and put your feet up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a stage when you need to do that.
Right.
But most of your pregnancy, you can be very active. And again, that's where you need a physician who's supportive of you and can help you find out what things are appropriate.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure there's some things that are not appropriate. I'm not sure if pregnant women can run marathons, maybe in the early stages. I don't know.
Maybe early
I don't
on, but I
know.
would think
It
that would be
depends
pretty
on
hard.
where they are. But
Right.
again, that's where you need that support team, who you need a physician who's saying, yeah, as long as you feel comfortable, you can do this. But I recommend you don't get into if the baby starts moving a lot, that's a sign, and give
Right.
you those cues so that you know when you've done more than you need, than
Right.
is good for you and the baby. But most doctors, I think, want you to be, and you're going to have a much better delivery when you've been active than
Yes.
if you had been very sedentary.
Yeah. Yeah. My sister-in-law was that way. She was very, very active. And she, was relatively healthy but she has that workout routine. She loves it, and she's found things that she loves doing. So
Yeah.
it definitely makes a difference. And even, as the older I get, my parents were very active, and growing up, it's a part of my routine. But, as you get older, sometimes you forget and you go, oh, I haven't worked out in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Even just
And
getting
that's
out for a
where
walk.
having that plan, having those
Right.
goals, it doesn't get away from you. So that, that's another person that is a good candidate for coaching, somebody who used to be in a different place than they are now. And how do I get some of that back?
Right.
Because age is not much of a barrier.
Right. Yeah, no, it's not. It just, a lot of times it's time.
Yeah.
And investment in yourself. I think people
Yeah,
forget about that too.
exactly.
We're the last thing we think about.
Exactly. Women in
Wow.
particular. That's why I like working with women, particularly like one potential client for me are women approaching retirement, because that's the first time in your life when you really can take care of yourself. You don't have that job. You don't have the children at home. Usually the empty nest happens around the same time. And it's like, yeah, I can do those things, and a lot of people in retirement say, well, I'm going to do, I'm going to be healthier. But what does that mean to them?
Right.
That's
Right.
where a coach can get them on the path, and then they can find the other parts of it that they need in terms of, whether it's a trainer or a dietitian or a nutritionist or whatever else that they need in terms of technical advice.
Sure. Sure. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. I appreciate you being with us today, and for sharing a little bit about what you do. Is there anything else you want to let people know before we go?
No?
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you all for tuning in. I hope this was informative. I'll put the link for Lindsay's website and her social media in the description. So I hope you check her out, and feel free to ask her questions if you've got them about starting your fitness journey, and check out her book too. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.